It wasn't me who became an internet sensation. No dramatic clip, no viral moment. That was my cousin. I was just the man who stayed. The one who showed up every day, even when the days were quiet or ordinary. The man who stayed faithful, even when love began to sound more like a routine than a promise. But betrayal doesn't ask for a spotlight. It slips in like a shadow, sits beside you at dinner, and dismantles the life you thought was untouchable. Her name was Lauren. We'd been married for 21 years. Her voice turned heads. Her smile could stop a room mid-conversation. Wherever she went, people noticed her, and I never once felt threatened by it. I was proud to walk beside her. I wasn't flashy. I was consistent. The guy who handled the small things, fixed what was broken, brought her coffee every morning, made sure her tires were rotated before winter. We had 2 kids. We rebuilt a forgotten 1970s ranch house together. Every Sunday was blueberry pancakes and jazz from the old speaker in the corner. It looked like forever from the outside. But decay doesn't always show on the surface. Sometimes it eats away silently, behind the walls, until the structure collapses under you. The signs were there. Missed calls. Her phone always locked. A heavier hand with makeup on a weekday. Late returns from work with reasons that sounded rehearsed. Team outings, errands, a detour to Target. I tried to be patient. Told myself not to be paranoid. Gave her the benefit of the doubt because that's what love is supposed to do. I smiled, pretended not to notice. But the truth came in pieces. Tiny, sharp truths I couldn't ignore. The night I knew for sure is burned into me. It was a Friday. She said she had to stay late at work. I even offered to bring dinner, but she told me not to bother. At 9:42 p.m., something tightened inside me. I couldn't sit still. I grabbed my keys and drove to her office. The parking lot was empty. I kept driving until I found her SUV parked outside a cheap motel, far from her usual routes. The overhead light flickered like it had a confession to make. I pulled into a space nearby. Sat there, heater on, breathing dust and nerves. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. 10 minutes later, she came out, laughing. A man followed, tall, younger. He leaned in and kissed her neck like it was familiar. And just like that, the story I believed I was living unraveled beneath neon buzz. I didn't make a scene. Didn't shout. I drove home in silence. It wasn't anger. It was something colder, heavier. Felt like poison moving slow through my bloodstream. I slept in my truck. Not because I had to, but because I couldn't stomach the air in our house anymore. The next morning, I brewed coffee like always. She came down wearing the same scent she'd worn for him. I asked her if there was anything she wanted to tell me. She didn't blink. Just sipped her drink and said, "About what?" I met her eyes. "I saw you last night." She didn't cry, didn't deny. Her face twisted, not in shame but in irritation. "You followed me?" she asked, like I'd broken some unspoken rule. That's when I understood. This wasn't a moment of weakness. It was a choice. She wasn't sorry. She just said, "It was just sex." Like she was explaining a late-night snack run. And just like that, 21 years got reduced to a shrug. If you've been through it, it's not the betrayal itself that breaks you. It's how fast your entire history can be erased. Tossed aside like it never mattered. I didn't argue. Didn't ask for an explanation. I packed a bag, zipped it closed, and walked out. The days after blurred together. Friends didn't know what to say. Some offered hollow sympathy. Some avoided me completely. But the nights were the worst. That phrase, "just sex," looped in my head until it almost became meaningless. Almost. Cheating doesn't just shatter your trust. It shakes your sense of self. You look in the mirror and see someone smaller, someone chipped at the edges. But life has a strange way of nudging you forward. One morning I went for a walk. No destination. No music. Just steps and breath. It became a ritual. The only time I felt whole. And that's when I saw her, Samantha. A face from school. We hadn't spoken in decades. She'd lost her husband to cancer 3 years earlier. There was a stillness in her that calmed me. We started walking together every Tuesday. At first it was surface stuff, weather, books, little jokes. Then one day, I told her everything. the motel, the silence, just sex. She didn't gasp or pity me. She just reached out, placed her hand over mine and said, "That wasn't your failure." And something inside cracked open. Because when someone betrays you, shame settles in like smoke. You think maybe if you were more attractive, more successful, more everything, they wouldn't have left. But that's not the truth. People cheat because of who they are, not because of who you are. Over time, she became more than a walking partner. She became my peace. There were no grand declarations, no movie scenes, just quiet steadiness, understanding, healing. And one day, as the sun sank low behind the trees, I looked at her and said, "I think I'm finally free." She smiled, warm and knowing. "Took you long enough." I laughed, a real laugh, one I hadn't heard in years. Mine. I'm not telling this to drag Lauren. I don't want pity. I'm sharing it because maybe somewhere out there, someone is sitting in the dark, whispering, "She cheated on me. Will I ever be okay again?" You will. Healing doesn't crash in like thunder. It arrives in small ways, in quiet, in kind hands, in the sound of shared footsteps. You'll find someone better. But more importantly, you'll find yourself again. So if you've ever stood in that parking lot, seen what I saw, what would you have done? Do people like her ever regret it? And if you could say one thing to the person who betrayed you, what would it be? This isn't just a story. This is for the ones who survived, who stayed, who stood back up. You're not broken. You're battle-tested. And you're not alone.